Everybody, let's talk about Victor Oladipo. So Victor Oladipo is one of my favorite wings to watch of all time. An NBA defensive anchor. He was NBA defensive first team. He's had many seasons where he scored over 20 points per game, but he's been out of a job and he's posting on Twitter like it's LinkedIn saying, I'm a free agent. I don't have an agent right now. Just me and my family. I know I have a lot left and I genuinely love this game. I'd rather show you I'm ready than spend my time trying to explain why or flood you with analytics to prove it. If you're about winning, value mentorship, and think there could be a fit, you can reach me directly. I'm open to every opportunity right now. I just want to make sure I weigh each one carefully. I can't wait to share my story. Invictus, be a victor. So I like Victor Oladipo. Again, I think that he's a great player, but he's also kind of an NBA tragedy in a way. Now, I think he's probably still had a great life overall and probably still made millions of dollars. But he had a 4-year, $80 million $4-year, $80 million offer on the table. Some people said that it was over $100 million, but Oladipo clarified in later interviews that it was around like $80 million. So 4 years. So there's like a 4-year max and a 5-year max. So like they didn't get a 5-year max in the table for him. Unfortunately, it's just a 4-year, like $80 million offer. I understand though, betting against yourself. So if you look at, Victor Oladipo's career, he had been coming off of 2 years when healthy, where he was essentially, a solid 1A player. We're talking about Jaylen Brown, right? Well, Jaylen Brown is kind of a 1A player in my opinion. Something where, he does enough of everything. He's a good enough offensive threat where you can easily justify giving him the extension. Now, Jaylen Brown, I feel like is a much better player. I feel like everyone's been disrespecting Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown's worst season is about as good as Victor Oladipo's. About as good. I think with the defense, you can make an argument that Victor Oladipo had, a season that's pretty in line with any of Jaylen Brown's seasons for the most part. But besides that, he had injury issues, so he didn't end up signing an extension with Indiana around this 2020 period of time. So in 2020, there was an opportunity to sign an extension, but he was coming back from a ruptured quad tendon. He got that in January of 2019, and that really affected his return to form. Once he rejected that extension, Indiana actually traded him to Houston later in January of 2021. So he was in Indiana. He only played 9 games in Indiana in 2020 to 2021. And then he went over to Houston as part of the James Harden. That was part of the James Harden mega deal that actually brought James Harden to Brooklyn Nets. That's how I remember that deal, actually. So unfortunately, that ended up not giving the Yankees, not the Yankees, that ended up not giving the Nets a championship. Got it. I'm recording this later at night because I just find it interesting. So sometimes to make mistakes. So the Houston Rockets apparently also tried to sign Victor Oladipo long term, but there was a limit to the amount that they could offer. So, for example, even though Victor Oladipo could get offers from the Indiana Pacers of 4 years, $80 million, the best that Houston was able to offer was 2 years, $45.2 million. So Victor Oladipo turned that down almost immediately. He went on a longer-term deal, and he heavily favored actually landing with the Miami Heat in the offseason. So after he turned down this package, the Rockets actually ended up trading him to Miami. So only 4 games into playing with Miami, part of what Victor Oladipo was trying to do, again, bet on himself, he re-injured that same quad tendon, and it required a massive other surgery that essentially wiped out any thoughts of him getting a multi-year extension anywhere from 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, all off the table. And really, all that was left for him was to kind of sign a vet minimum. Guys, this is a good player, though. I just want to be clear. You look at his career, and when he's healthy, he was one of the most dynamic two-way players, in the game, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens to Victor Oladipo. I don't think there's anything bad about him. I mean, I think that the people clowning him online, like, what are we doing here? Why are we clowning him? We can point out that he made the wrong mistakes in terms of the go or no go decision in the contract. Well, that's the thing. Like, look, how many of you guys have not made a bad decision about maybe a job offer or, whatever, or something at work? Not necessarily because you're a bad person, not necessarily because you're an idiot. Well, maybe you work harder because you think that if you do it, you might be able to move up in the marketing team instead of on the engineering team. Well, that's kind of what Victor Oladipo thought. He thought that he could get a 5-year type max player. He thought he was that type of player. And honestly, he was until he had the devastating series of quad injuries. The first one and then the second one that essentially wiped him out completely. So guys, my name is Misha Turtle Island. If you appreciated or liked this video in any way, please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate it. We out.